This is Justin Steele and Kelly Cocktail with Nashville News 9.
And welcome to the deep dive.
You know how we roll here. We grab a big story and really dig into what's going on.
Yeah, we try to get to the heart of it for you.
And today, wow, it's a massive one for country music fans. Alan Jackson.
Yeah.
An absolute legend.
He's confirmed he's, well, stepping back from touring, but there's a twist.
Exactly. He's promising one last big show right there in Nashville.
We're looking at a really good piece from Saving Country Music on this, dated May 17th, 2025.
Right. And our mission today, to unpack what this really means for Alan, for Nashville, for, the whole genre.
Absolutely. It's the end of an era in one way, but also setting up this really significant final moment. The article lays it out pretty clearly.
Okay, let's jump in. So Saturday, May 17th, that was the date.
In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Visitor Forum.
And Alan Jackson told that packed crowd that this was it. His final touring show.
It was the last stop on his last call. One more for the road tour. That tour started back in 2022.
Even with a name like Last Call, you wonder if people really thought this specific show was like the absolute end of the road part.
That's a fair point. Sometimes tours get extended or, things change. But his words, they seemed pretty definitive this time.
Oh, totally. The article quotes him directly. He said, "Y'all may have heard that I'm kind of winding down. In fact, this is my last road show." Just like that.
Wow. And the reaction?
Huge. Standing ovation, lots of applause.
Yeah.
You could tell it hit people.
Yeah.
And it hit him, too.
Yeah.
He barely got a bit choked up, said, "Y'all gonna make me tear up here."
Man, you can just picture that. Really underlines how much that night meant.
It really does. But then, almost in the same breath, he gives them something else.
Right. Pivot straight from this is the end of touring to, well, not quite the absolute end.
Exactly. He announced this plan for a big finale show.
And crucially, where it's going to be.
Nashville, summer of 2026.
Which just feels right. Nashville's the heartland.
It's perfectly symbolic.
Yeah.
Bringing it all back home.
Especially when you think about how his whole journey started there. The article mentions that U-Haul story.
Oh, yeah, driving to Nashville with his wife. That image is so powerful.
He actually talked about that exact thing. Let me see. Yeah, he said, "I will say that this is my last road show out here, but we're planning on doing a big finale show in Nashville next summer, sometime 2026.
And his reasoning.
"I just felt like I had to end it all where it all started, and that's in Nashville, Tennessee. But this is the last one out on the road for me. So clear. Road shows are done. One big one left in Nashville."
Such a sense of completion in that statement. And the reflection on his career.
40 years. It's kind of mind-blowing when you say it out loud.
Isn't it? He said, "It's been a long, sweet ride. It started 40 years ago this September. So September 2025 is the big 4U anniversary.
Wow.
My wife and I drove to Nashville with an old U-Haul trailer and chased this dream. It's been a crazy ride. I lived the American dream for sure."
Gives you chills almost. What a legacy.
It really does.
Yeah.
And understanding why now.
Yeah.
The article gives us that important context, too.
Yeah, the health side of things.
Right. It reminds us, back in September 2021,
Yeah.
Alan Jackson shared that he has Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, CMT.
And he'd actually known about it for, 10 years before he announced it publicly?
That's right. 10 years he'd been living with that diagnosis privately.
So for anyone listening who isn't familiar, CMT, what exactly is it? The article breaks it down.
Yeah, it does. It's described as the degenerative nerve condition. It affects the peripheral nervous system.
So like the nerves outside your brain and spinal cord?
Exactly. It messes with the signals between the brain and muscles, especially out in your arms and legs, the extremities.
Which leads to balance problems.
Yeah, balance issues, coordination problems, because it weakens those smaller muscles. The article kind of puts it in the category of things like muscular dystrophy or Parkinson's in terms of being a neurological condition.
Okay. And it stresses, importantly, that it's not life-threatening. Doesn't shorten your lifespan.
Correct. But, and this is the key thing for him, it directly impacts his ability to perform like he used to. That coordination, moving around on stage.
It makes the physical demands of touring incredibly difficult, you'd imagine.
No doubt. And it makes you think back to what he said before about retirement tours. The article brought that up too.
Oh yeah, he wasn't a fan of the whole big farewell tour thing, was he?
Not at all. He's quoted saying, "I never wanted to do the big retirement tour like people do, then take a year off and then come back. I think that's kind of cheesy."
Yeah, I remember that. So this approach, ending the road shows, but planning one specific finale, feels different. Feels more, I don't know, Alan Jackson.
Totally. It feels authentic to him. He's drawing a line,
Yeah.
but still giving fans that one last big moment in the place that matters most.
Okay, so this Nashville show, summer 2026. What else do we actually know?
Well, that's the thing. According to the article,
Mm-hmm.
not much else yet.
Really? Just the time frame?
Just summer 2026. No specific date, no venue, no word on, who might join him or anything like that. It's all still under wraps.
But the article does kind of hint that it's going to be huge, right? He uses that phrase. Rest assured, it will be a big one.
Yeah, it definitely tees it up as a major event. And you have to assume, given everything, his history, Nashville, the finality, it has to be special.
It really gets you thinking, though. What does big mean in this context? A stadium. Special guests from his whole career.
The speculation is kind of fun, isn't it?
It is. Now, the article also touches on how people are reacting. Fans, the industry.
Right. The comments on the Saving Country Music piece are pretty telling. Lots and lots of love and support for him.
Yeah, people calling him a legend, a class act. Seems like that's the overwhelming feeling.
Definitely. But there's also that other conversation that always seems to pop up.
Is this really retirement discussion?
Yep. Someone brought up George Strait, artists who announced they're done touring and then, well, they still pop up for shows here and there.
It's a tricky thing. Fans sometimes feel a bit misled, maybe.
Possibly. But another commenter made a pretty sharp observation specifically about Alan's situation.
What was that?
Basically, that because of the CMT, because of the real health reasons behind stepping back from the road, this time it might actually, stick.
That's a sobering thought, but probably realistic. It highlights that this isn't just a preference, it's driven by physical necessity.
And there was another comment, someone who was at that Milwaukee show.
Oh, cool. What did they say?
They described the atmosphere as super emotional, which you'd expect. And they noted that, you could see his movement was limited, but his connection with the crowd, his appreciation for that moment, it was totally there.
Wow. That's, powerful image. End of an era, but celebrating that connection one last time on the road.
So let's kind of wrap this up. Alan Jackson's done with touring. Final roadshow was in Milwaukee.
He's planning one massive final concert, Nashville, summer 2026.
And this whole decision, it's deeply connected to his ongoing health battle with CMT, making touring just too difficult now.
40 years of hits, iconic moments. It really is the end of a major chapter in country music history.
It is. So here's something to maybe chew on after you finish listening.
Yeah.
What actually makes a final show truly meaningful for an artist like Alan Jackson?
Yeah, and how does his specific journey, that 40-year ride, plus the reality of CMT, how does that shape what this last Nashville show might be?
And maybe bigger picture. What does this whole situation tell us about legacy in country music today? How does an artist ensure their impact lasts?
Lots to think about there as we await more news on that 2026 finale.